When it comes to water conservation on Earth, people are often confused. Isn't the Earth 70% water? Yet, an estimated 1.1 billion people lack reliable access to water. And by 2030, as many as 2/3 of the world's population could face water shortages. Stick around for this episode of Formosa Fauna to find out why. Spend the next 20 minutes feeding your brain with Formosa Fauna so you can become smarter than all of your friends. Every Friday is Formosa Fauna Friday. Hello, I'm Tristan Hildebrand, the voice of Formosa Fauna. I love animals and I love talking about them. If you're even remotely curious about the animal kingdom, you're in the right place. On today's agenda, we're going to talk about Taipei Zoo overhauling their tropical rainforest, water scarcity, wastewater treatment system in Linkou, and hagfish. Let's dive right in. Taipei Zoo has revealed plans to undertake a significant overhaul of its tropical rainforest area, as reported on by Sean Scanlon at Taiwan News, with major improvements slated for the indoor elephant habitat, long known to visitors as the White House. This announcement comes as the zoo approaches the 40th anniversary of its relocation from Yuanshan to its current Muzha site in southern Taipei. The tropical rainforest area, a focal point of the zoo's expansion when it first opened in 1997, has been one of the facility's most beloved exhibits for nearly 3 decades. Among its most iconic residents are the Asian elephants, whose current enclosures are now considered outdated compared with modern international standards that emphasize better welfare and more enriching living environments. 2 of the zoo's longtime elephants, Yo Xin and Yo Kai, will be the first to relocate under the renovation plan. Both arrived at Taipei Zoo in 1987 as young animals and have lived in various parts of the park over the years before settling into the tropical rainforest area about 10 years ago. Because Asian elephants are large animals, reaching up to about 3.5 meters at the shoulder and weighing as much as 3,000 kilograms for females and over 5,000 kilograms for males, the zoo says tall, spacious facilities are essential for safe daily care, professional training, and routine health checks by keepers and veterinarians. Outdoor portions of the refreshed habitat will be designed to encourage natural behaviors, with features such as sand pits, pools, and enrichment areas that promote exploration and foraging. In recent years, the zoo has been looking to global zoo welfare standards as a model for these kind of upgrades. During later stages of the revamp, other animals housed in the tropical rainforest area, including Malayan tigers, Malayan sun bears, and leopards, will be moved temporarily to allow construction of new facilities. Before breaking ground on the new elephant enclosure, the zoo plans to host a special retrospective exhibition reflecting on the long history of elephant care at the park. Zoo officials are also encouraging visitors to come and enjoy the tropical rainforest area over the Lunar New Year holiday and to revisit the exhibits they've cherished before the transformation begins. According to the Ecology book by DK, major urban centers around the globe are already grappling with water shortages, including Los Angeles, New York, Mexico City, Rio de Janeiro, Sao Paulo, Delhi, Mumbai, Beijing, Shanghai, Tokyo, Osaka, Cairo, Istanbul, and London, just to name a few. In these densely populated regions, residents are increasingly competing for limited water resources. In 2008, Canadian activist Maud Barlow warned that water scarcity had emerged as the most urgent ecological and humanitarian challenge of the 21st century. She emphasized that water is a commons, meaning a shared resource, and that access to clean water is a basic human right. Barlow argued that excessive waste, pollution, and overuse had disrupted the water cycle, which is the continual movement of water between Earth's surface and the atmosphere. This made it unreliable as a permanent source. She noted that water shortages were already devastating parts of the developing world, with women and children bearing the heaviest burden as they collect water, and cautioned that without decisive action, the crisis would eventually affect the rest of the world. In fact, some children do not have access to education because they are busy fetching water every single day. An estimated 1.1 billion people lack reliable access to water, while 2.7 billion experience water scarcity for at least 1 month each year. Although roughly 70% of Earth's surface is covered by water, nearly all of it is salty ocean water. Only about 0.014% of the planet's total water supply is both fresh and accessible, primarily from rivers, lakes, and underground aquifers, rocks that hold groundwater. That is less than 0.1%. Water is essential for drinking, hygiene, agriculture, and industry. And because all plants and land animals depend on fresh water, the water crisis affects every form of terrestrial life, which is you and me. As the global population grows, water consumption rises, and a significant share of that water is wasted, particularly in developed countries, where average use is roughly 10 times higher than the developing world. Mind you, this section of the book was written in 2019, before the rise of AI. Many freshwater sources at that time had already dried up, such as long stretches of the Rio Grande along the US-Mexico border, or they had become too polluted to use. The Ganges in India and Indonesia's Citarium River rank among the most polluted waterways on Earth. If current consumption patterns continue, conditions are expected to continue to worsen. By 2030, in 2019, they estimated that by 2030, as many as 2/3 of the world's population could face water shortages, with ecosystems also suffering severe consequences. Human use of freshwater has tripled since around 1970, and it's even worse probably now, AI use, and demand only continues to rise by approximately 2,260 billion cubic feet, partly because of the global population growing by about 80 million people a year. Changing lifestyles and diets that require more water per person has also driven demand higher. In addition, biofuel production has expanded rapidly, placing further strain on water supplies. Producing roughly 1/4 of a gallon, or 1 liter, of biofuel requires between 260 and 1,060 gallons, or about 1,000 to 4,000 liters of water. Over the past century, half of the planet's wetlands have disappeared, cleared for agriculture or development, or lost because groundwater has been pumped from aquifers faster than it can be replenished. As wetlands vanished, so do the plants and animals that depend on them. Nearly half of all drinking water comes from aquifers, with about 240 cubic miles, or 1,000 cubic kilometers, extracted annually. Roughly 2/3 of this water is used for irrigation, 22% for domestic purposes, and 11% for industry. Because most aquifers refill far more slowly than they are depleted, water yields decline over time. Falling water tables can cause lakes and rivers to dry up. Since 1990, about half of the total lengths of China's rivers have disappeared. Half of the total length of China's rivers has disappeared. In North America, the Great Lakes are shrinking, Lake Winnipeg is under threat, and the vast Ogallala Aquifer is being depleted. Even Brazil, the most water-rich country in the world, faces water supply problems. As shortages intensify, water is increasingly becoming a source of conflict. Water scarcity takes two main forms. Physical water scarcity affects regions that naturally lack abundant water, including North Africa, the Arabian Peninsula, much of Central and Southern Asia, northern China, and the southwestern U.S. Economic water scarcity, by contrast, occurs where water exists but infrastructure is insufficient to access or distribute it. This is common in much of sub-Saharan Africa and parts of Central America, In these areas, people may spend hours each day walking to collect water, and like I said, many children miss school as a result. Water shortages harm humans and can push wildlife towards extinction or steep population declines. For example, populations of the Amazon River dolphin, native to the Amazon and Orinoco River basins in South America, have dropped sharply due to heavy metal pollution from mining and the construction of dams that block fish migrations to spawning grounds. In China, the world's largest amphibian, the Chinese giant salamander, has become critically endangered as dams built for water storage and hydroelectric power alter river flows and disrupt its habitats. Taking a holistic approach to the ecosystem management is essential to prevent the crisis from worsening. For example, sewage treatment plants powered by clean energy can generate wastewater to fertilize biofuel crops, which in turn can help purify water without producing greenhouse gas emissions. New technologies are also making it possible to convert wastewater directly into drinking water, a process that was previously highly energy intensive. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has warned that poorly designed water management policies can increase greenhouse gas emissions. However, when wastewater conversion is powered by solar energy, emissions can be avoided. Solar power is increasingly replacing oil and desalination plants across the Middle East. In regions with seasonal heavy rainfall, such as monsoon-affected countries, much of the rain runs off into polluted rivers and goes unused. Rainwater collection and storage systems could help address part of this problem. Other effective measures include reducing pollution, cutting water waste in agriculture and industry, providing appropriate technologies to developing countries, and strengthening international cooperation, since water catchments do not follow national borders. As Maud Barlow has observed, there is no water-rich country in the world that is not facing problems. In Adelaide, South Australia, an innovative water recycling system in use in the suburb of Salisbury has reduced extraction from the Murray River and aquifers by about half. They treat wastewater from local sewage and rainwater from drains, and then direct that into a series of 50 wetlands. These contain reed beds and other aquatic vegetation that further clean the water. The recycled, non-drinking water from the wetlands is then piped to the inhabitants of Salisbury to use for flushing toilets, watering gardens, washing cars, and filling ornamental ponds. In addition to providing a more sustainable source of water, the system has boosted biodiversity within the newly established wetlands. Visiting and residential birds include ducks, spoonbills, herons, pelicans, cormorants, and other migratory waders, along with species of amphibians and fish, and many aquatic invertebrates. Carol Yang at Taiwan News reports that Topco Scientific has won the contract to install a wastewater treatment system at a new industrial park in Linkou District, New Taipei. The industrial park, which opened in 2023, is now expanding its infrastructure to accommodate growing construction of factories and office buildings. One major project underway is a new facility by global semiconductor supplier ASML, slated for completion later this year. City officials say the park is intended to bolster New Taipei's development in artificial intelligence and aid the modernization of traditional industries. Several technology firms, including Foxconn, Gigabyte Technology, and Aeon Technology, have already announced plans to set up operations there. At a recent press briefing, Topco representatives said the sewage project is planned to finish in 2029. The system will finish nitrogen removal technology, a central management center, and equipment to process solid waste, all designed to ensure treated water meets regulatory discharge standards. Most of the treatment equipment will be housed indoors, with landscape areas around the site. New Taipei Mayor Ho Youyi said the city will invest 900 million NT dollars, about $30.6 million US dollars, in the sewage system. He added that robust wastewater and waste management facilities are an important consideration for tech firms when deciding where to locate, making the new system a key asset for attracting businesses. Today, you're going to learn about the hagfish. If you have ever heard of hagfish, you may know them for their most famous party trick. Place one of these eel-like creatures in a bucket, give it a quick swirl, and within moments the container will be filled with slime. This is no ordinary slime, but an extraordinary substance that continues to intrigue scientists as they try to understand how hagfish produce it. Helen Scales says hagfish can fill an entire bucket in a fraction of a second by releasing only about a teaspoon of material from the hundreds of slime glands lining its body. The slime consists of mucus mixed with protein threads that are around 100 times thinner than a human hair. Inside specialized cells, these threads are tightly coiled into structures resembling pine cones. Once released into the water, the coils rapidly unravel and expand up to 10,000 times their original volume. The resulting fibers are extremely elastic and about 10 times stronger than nylon. Materials scientists are studying hagfish slime as a model for developing bungee cords and protective textiles, while the United States Navy has shown interest in creating artificial versions that could potentially disable enemy vessels by engulfing them in a dense contemporary cloud of slime. This remarkable slime evolved as a defense mechanism for the hagfish. Film footage from the deep sea shows sharks attempting to eat hagfish only to spit them out almost immediately once their mouths and gills are clogged with slime. To avoid suffocating themselves, hagfish rely on another ingenious adaptation, which is knot tying. Because they lack a spine, their bodies are extremely flexible, allowing them to twist into an overhand knot and slide it along the length of their body to scrape off the slime. They also use this technique while feeding, helping them gain leverage on food. Hagfish are scavengers that play a key role in cleaning the ocean floor as well. They feed on the carcasses of animals ranging from fish to massive whales that sink to the seabed. Without jaws, they can't bite, so instead they rasp flesh using tough tooth-like plates on either side of their mouths. They often enter carcasses through any available opening and remain inside, absorbing nutrients directly through their skin. Around the world, hagfish are harvested and exported to Korea, where their gray-pink scaleless skin is valued for making leather. Oh, these fish just get more and more interesting by the sentence. They are also eaten, and their slime has occasionally been used in cooking as a substitute for egg whites. Hagfish populations in waters around Korea have been heavily depleted, leading to increased imports from farther afield. In regions off Australia, Brazil, and Japan, some hagfish species are now at risk of extinction. Despite their unappealing reputation, hagfish are vital to marine ecosystems, removing carrion and helping maintain healthy seabed habitats that support other marine life. Have some thoughts you'd like to share about today's episode? Send me an email at tristan@rti.org.tw. That is tristan@rti.org.tw. Making it to the end of an episode makes you a Formosa Fauna friend. Thank you for tuning in, friend. See you next time for Formosa Fauna Fridays here on Radio Taiwan International.